Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-host Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. And I think we have all of that and some fun, too, tonight with Kids versus Aliens from Jason Eisener. So, I'm excited about this. I am excited about this. But let me introduce the crew first, starting off with the co-host, Jeff Mohr, hiding in the shadows.
Oh,
It's skin of the ring. Yeah. Also joining us this week is award-winning filmmaker, Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
Goodies never die. Oh, wait, wrong movie.
Close.
I'm doing well.
Rounding out the crew is our very own Dave Dreher. Hi, Dave.
Hello. So what is that? What is that behind you, Christopher? Next to the Evil Dead 2 poster. What is that? Like a spider? What is that thing? What is it?
It's a stuffed spider from the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, no.
Okay. I'm like, what the hell is that thing?
When I was at Universal for Halloween Horror Nights, we were in like one of the stores and they had a Harry Potter section, and I saw the stuffed spider. I was like, ooh, and brother's like, I'll get that for you. So yeah, or maybe it's a real spider about to attack me throughout the review.
Have you named it? What's its name?
Leaping
we need to know its name.
Its name?
Name?
Its name is Anya de Armas.
That is an excellent name.
It could be Octo de Armas, but
we may continue.
Yes, it's Doc Ock.
Doc Ock. All right. Well, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to review Kids versus Aliens. We're going to start off giving you our first impression. That first impression will be spoiler-free. Then we'll get into a discussion. We will get into some spoilers, and there's some fun ones to be had. And then we'll wrap things up with our score of 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. And there's a lot to be had there, too. All right. Let's, we hope you enjoy it. This is where I'm going next. We hope you enjoy this review and many others that we have on the site. And if you do, please hit the like and subscribe button to share with a friend. Every little click will help us reach more fans such as yourself. And our goal of 5,000 subscribers. We're getting there. Climbing up that hill.
We can do it. We can do it.
Sure.
All right, let's take a look at the card. Kids versus Alien 2023 from RLJE Films and Shudder. Available in theaters and on digital and on demand on January 20th, 2023. The synopsis is, all Gary wants is to make awesome home movies with his best buds. All his older sister Samantha wants is to hang with the cool kids. When their parents head out of town one Halloween weekend, an all-time rager of a teen house party at that, turns to terror when aliens attack, forcing the siblings to band together to survive the night. Directed by Jason Eisener from VHS 2 and Hobo with a Shotgun, among others. Written by John Davies and Jason Eisener. Stars Dominic Marich, Phoebe Rex, Kaylin McDonald, Asher Grayson Percival, and Ben Hector. Yes. Let's get into this. Who shall I choose first? Dave Dreher! What was your first impression of Kids versus Aliens?
You know, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. It started off a little questionable. I wasn't quite sure what we were going to be getting, but it ramps up, and I had a great time watching this. This is kind of like a 12-year-old's fever dream of a movie.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it was just fun and kind of emotional, and we don't want to get any spoilery stuff just yet, but yeah, it's exactly what it says in the title. It's Kids versus Aliens.
It's pretty literal, right?
There's no two ways about it. I love their devotion to practical effects. I would say that's probably 95% practical effects.
Except for the thing that's flying around, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's about it. So I love their devotion to doing that. So yeah, fun movie.
Fun movie. Christopher G. Mohr, you're up next. What was your first impression of Kids versus Aliens?
I really enjoyed this. This is, I mean, this is definitely, I mean, it has elements of like Goonies and Monster Squad, but more R-rated.
Much more.
Yeah, I mean, this is, yeah, it's definitely, definitely the kind of film that I enjoy and sit there like, oh, that would have been cool to direct something like that. Um, I loved I mean, there was elements of this that made me realize this is a better version of Terrifier. If you took out Art the Clown and you made the aliens, the kids, you know, the teenagers versus aliens, this is a better version of that. Yeah, I loved all the practical effects. I was kind of astounded by it because I was trying to figure out like what the budget on this is, because it's an indie film, but it's got a really great production budget on it, just with this the one set, the one part that's sort of a set, like a set, like a cave type area. There's stuff that you're dealing with water. I mean, there's some really cool, even just some cool CGI type stuff involving like a ship and stuff. And it almost felt like a more like if Spielberg wanted to embrace like James Gunn, you know, if James Gunn and Spielberg sort of mated, I think
This would have been their ET, yeah.
yeah. This is, I mean, although actually ET, the original ET story was supposed to be mean aliens and not the cute alien that we know and love. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It's you know, it definitely has that kind of 80s feel when it comes to the characters. You know, and yeah, and I was, there was one part I actually got teary-eyed. I was like, wow, I wasn't expected to be emotional during this. So yeah, I thought it was fun. You know, I love that we have these sort of gray aliens. They made maybe someone should be wearing hat, make gray aliens great again, and they actually made the gray aliens great again. Yeah, I loved every bit of this. You know, from yeah, just everything. I mean, the kids and stuff. I mean, these kids curse up a storm, that's for sure. So I feel like the F word was used every 5 seconds, but yeah, I enjoyed this from beginning to end. It's a really enjoyable film.
Excellent. Jeff Mohr, sir. What was your first impression of Kids versus Aliens?
Well, with the sort of the teenage romance percolating in the background, I kind of felt like for a while I'm watching after school special with swearing and lots of gore, which absolutely couldn't happen, but I had a feel like that. But it's a fun movie. It really is a fun movie. The kids are differentiated. You know, they have different personalities. They have different different abilities or skills in terms of fighting the aliens. And I think the romance was well played out. So yeah, it was fun. I had a good time watching it.
I did too. I really enjoyed this, and I knew I was going to. I mean, from the trailer, I had a feeling this was going to hit, and it really did. It knocked it out of the park. The relationship between the three kids and the sister is really drives the film. You know, the conflict that their relationship has at the beginning, and then, you know, the camaraderie it has toward the end, and then the shit of a boyfriend that she gets is so good, but so bad. He's so bad and he's so evil, but man, he did a good job at it. I was like, oh man. But then the aliens, like you said, you know, they're the old gray aliens, but they work. The way they shot and the way they came at the camera all the time, or the way they were in the fog, it was perfect. The sound effects were really good too. When the lights would show up outside and you know do your burn, you know, that's always really strong when that happens, and they did a great job with that, and everybody reacted to it appropriately. So, but the kids has so much energy and so much charisma, even if one of them maybe wasn't all that great of an actor, it didn't matter. It just felt authentic, the three of them. And the sister Phoebe Rex is really good. She's really strong in the lead. And like you said, special effects are practical, and you get let's put it this way, there's swords. There's swords in this, and that's fun. That's a lot of fun when you're fighting aliens with swords. Sign me up.
Not just any swords; they're alien swords.
Alien swords.
It was like a
wrestling moves.
He-Man alien sword. Is what that was.
Felt like
Yeah.
a He-Man sword.
That wasn't some Game of Thrones sword. That was a big ass like sword.
It reminded me of the ones we used to buy my grandson when he was Power Rangers
There you
fanatic.
go.
That's what it looked like.
By the power of grace. But let's get into some spoilers. What do we want to talk about? I mean, there's this. What was that? What do we want to get? All right, so let's talk about the three kids, right? And they're filming this movie. There's other kids at the beginning, and we kind of get down to three, and then the sister. But so I thought of you, Christopher, when they were doing this. I was like, this seems like Christopher's life when he was that age. Could you relate to these guys?
I could relate because I know growing up, I used to create scenarios based on movies and stuff. I remember there was a trench near when I lived in Sac County. There was this little trench thing that I made my own sort of. Either I was reenacting the game Pitfall or I was reenacting Indiana Jones. There was a huge metal container that I put a stick and a string to and had it rolling by me. So I used to do a lot of crazy stuff like that with my friends and stuff. So yeah, it felt like that. That felt like, I used to chase each other on bikes, like Dukes of Hazzard. That feels like what kids do. I don't think I cursed as much as these kids did. But I know kids that probably did curse as much. I think that was the only thing. I felt like the cursing was a little bit over the board with the dialogue. But it did make it kind of funny, But yeah, I loved. I mean, I think this is the good thing, because you see some movies like that are made just primarily for kids, and it's like they're kind of washed out. They're not really real kids, and I think that's why I always embrace things like Goonies and Monster Squad, or even back in the day when you have like Bad News Bears and stuff, where kids were just kids, and some would be more cursed, would curse
I don't even think the
more.
Bad News Bears cursed as much as these kids did.
Well, no, but no. This definitely would have, if there was no gore in it, it would have gotten an R rating just because of cursing.
There's so many up.
But yeah, they just felt like kind of real kids, and I think that's what made it kind of fun to watch, and their interactions with people, because when you're a kid, that your universe is just based around your imagination, your play. And so I could see them like, hey, we're making a movie here, we're doing this and stuff like that, and nothing else really matters, and to have that kind of scenario that they've been playing out happening sort of for real, and they had to play through that, it just made it more fun and interesting, especially the wrestling angle and stuff. And I loved this the sister. I mean, I kind of agree with Jeff was saying. That the beginning is almost like a John Hughes movie, a little bit like a more R-rated John Hughes film. And that was I love those John Hughes films as well, so it felt like that. But if John Hughes were to make an R-rated, bigger budget horror type sci-fi like a horror movie or whatever.
Yeah,
so
we get a little bit of the aliens at the beginning, but really it's all in the news. The only time we talk about that is the news talks about those people missing from the boat until they show up at the house.
And I do like that we got sort of different variations of the aliens as well. We had one that was almost like a queen alien with a drape.
Oh, that's right.
And how they can sort of turn humans into these sort of
mutated monsters. Yeah,
Freddy Krueger,
like vomiting all over them. That
monster.
Yeah, there was the gurgling beak thing that dissolved the one girl, right?
Yeah, that was like, and it went on longer than what I expected. It was really well done, but also like, oh God, I definitely want to get, obtained by aliens if they're going to do that to me. That was just, I'd rather them probe me than do what they're doing to that girl, that poor girl. But that's just, oh God, because she was like yeah, she didn't die right away.
No,
Let's just say
he
that
was
much.
still
She was
screaming when you see
screaming
her
and stuff, you know.
skull
You could
face.
see all the, and I was like thinking about these. I was actually thinking, oh, that's an actual person. That's not. And the goop would keep coming over, and she'd be screaming, and it'd fly out of her mouth, and I was like, oh god, this is painful to watch, not only because of the movie, but because the actress having to endure what's happening to her.
Exactly. Jeff, I want to ask you, did you feel like the kids were in danger at all? I mean, because let's put it out there, people die in this movie.
Yes.
We just brought up one where the girl gets melted in front of us, but she's not alone. She's not the only one that died.
Well, but up until then, I mean, they were, you sort of, the ones that were killed to begin with were sort of
You didn't really care about him.
bad characters. Yeah, you didn't, you sort of like got pleasure from seeing some of that happen. But I did not, I did not expect what happened. I don't know how spoiler we go. And in fact, I sort of expected it to find some way to be undone with this glowing sword some way. But
I was so surprised they kept it. Yeah, that they stuck it. But I think I felt like they actually were in danger when we get this really effective shot of the aliens dragging them into the water, because that was when I think the film was actually the creepiest, is when they were being abducted.
I thought it was going to be one of those situations where everybody got abducted except the kids.
Right.
And the way the story played out, okay, I was not expecting this to happen. And then for the sister to sort of like have this bravado of like going in there, being all the big hero in the situation, made it even kind of cooler.
She even got her little montage of dressing up for it.
Yeah, and then to sort of have that sort of one-eyed Willie moment of her finding that sword, just made it even cooler. I was like, I mean, it's like that just made it even cooler for me. I was like, oh my god! Not only is she having to go in there, but she finds this big ass He-Man sword, and I was like, I'm all in for this.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to ask you, because they kind of did a Chekhov's sword, but they didn't, because they mentioned swords earlier because she got a gun instead of a sword. But then out of the blue, she finds a sword. Is that still a Chekhov sword, or is that something different? A different technique?
I mean, it sort of is still there, because she even makes a joke at the very end, because he says you can't use a sword. So yeah, I mean, I think by mentioning it, sort of there. But I think the big Chekhov moment was the big finale explosive.
The firecrackers,
that was the Chekhov fireworks. I think was more Chekhov of the movie.
And it was on the tractor, right? It was on the little tractor, little mower. Dave, we were talking about special effects. Let's wrap up the discussion with that. Are the special effects worthy of mentioning? Did they do a good job?
Absolutely. Oh, I think absolutely. That face melting scene you were talking about, it reminded me of Fright Night. Remember in Fright Night when the dude melts on camera?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. But yeah, I absolutely so. And we get some some bites and some assorted stabs, and there's all kinds of
head splitting.
Yeah, head splitting. Yeah, we get the head splitting going on. So yeah, I think it was because really the first half of the movie is kind of dry. There's not really a lot going on. I mean, a lot of character development. We're seeing these kids, and the older girl kind of pulling away because she wants to be with the cool kids, and just about the point of time I was gonna be like, man, they're dropping the ball, and oh no, they pick up the ball and they run, and then it's kind of bowls out from that point on.
Yeah, that development was essential, though. I think that helped make it work.
Yeah,
and I was entertained by it too. So.
Yeah, in retrospect, I was just afraid that that's all we were going to get. There wasn't going to be any aliens in Kids versus Aliens, other than a hand reaching out and grabbing somebody or something. But no, I mean, we get full body suit, like what, a couple dozen of them running around.
Yes.
So it's pretty cool. So no, I think the practical effects not only are a star of this, they are really well done. And Doc, you mentioned too the sound design on this impressed me a lot. Not just with the that booming sound every time the lights showed up, but just the background music and stuff. I mean, I was like some John Williams shit going on there.
They did a good job.
Well, if you look in the end credits, they actually had an orchestra. This wasn't, that even though they had the synthy elements, they had an orchestra for some of the music, and I thought some of the music was very impactful for this movie. And I was really surprised on an indie level of having like a real orchestra, because they listed all the different people playing the different instruments. And I was like, I was like, man, this music's really great. And again, that's what kind of blew me away, that this film has an indie budget, but it has like a blockbuster feel. And it looks better than some blockbuster films, I would say, because once we get inside that ship, or the design of the outside of the ship, or even the visuals, or just the music, I think everything sort of came together, every element was really firing on all cylinders when it came to sort of telling this crazy story, because I think normally it would just be, I mean, this kind of feels a little bit like Psycho Gorman, on that kind of indie level.
Yeah,
but again,
double feature.
But great double feature. But I think this, I think the Psycho Gorman focus was more about the effects overall. But this one had a lot of different elements that just made it a very polished end product.
It was a lot of fun. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Dave, sir, you are up first.
I'm gonna go pretty high on this one. I'm gonna give this one a 4.25.
Nice.
I really liked it a lot. It had a lot of heart, not just on the film itself, but you can tell the people making it really cared about this movie, and it just really comes through. They made a couple tough choices. We don't want to give away the what happens. You guys kind of beat around the bush with it there, but like when that happens, I mean, I was actually kind of touched. That when the film went there, not a lot of films would go there, and they did, and then they didn't backtrack it. Again, kind of glad that there wasn't some magic moment that made it all okay, because sometimes there just aren't magic moments that make things okay, and it was kind of tough, and I came away from it actually kind of moved, which I appreciated. And again, special effects, there is a lot of fun. I just liked it. So 4.25. And since I get to go first, I'm obviously going to choose the melting girl scene.
The melting girl.
Really, that's the first real special effect we get, and it's a humdinger, for sure. And like Christopher said, it just kind of went on, and she's gurgling and screaming, and there's goo flying everywhere. And yeah, definitely. There are several others that are worthy, but that one, since I get to go first, I'm taking it.
You're taking it. Oh man! All right, Christopher G. Mohr, what's your score and favorite scene?
Overall, I thought this was a fun time. I think if I were to nitpick, I think there's one moment that happens where she's like, "Somebody help me," and it goes on for a little while, and I'm like, I think that kind of pulled me out of the movie. It's like you're just hoping for some Deus Ex Machina moment to happen, which kind of does, but I know it felt it felt like a stalling tactic that kind of stalled the storyline. But overall, I loved all of it. I hated that asshole Billy, but he's that perfect sort of 80s villain. I'll give it a 4.25 as well. Same as Dave. It's definitely a fun movie. It's definitely a movie that I'm going to revisit in the future. And I think I'm going to try to go see it maybe this weekend again. I'll see it on the big screen.
Ooh,
as for favorite scene, if I can't take the Melty McMelt girl, I'm going to take, without being specific, I'm going to take the moment where a certain character bites it. Because I think that was, although the very end of the movie, that character could possibly show up in a sequel. I'm just saying. But I think that was I was not expecting that to happen. Cause I think it's sort of like you see certain things in movies and you don't expect the cat or the dog to die or characters to die. I was not expecting that. So I was like, wow, they're really going there. So I found that a very ballsy move. And also it just created one of the most emotional moments because a little bit later, the character says something to the other character. It's like, oh,
no.
you feel sad, but you're like, yeah, he's finally going to get one over on these aliens. So yeah, I think that's, without being specific, I'll say that, yeah, the death of one specific character.
Yeah, I get it. That's a good choice. Good choice. Jeff, sir, what is your score and favorite scene?
I'm going to go 3.75. And 8, favorite scene, I'm going to say the face-off between Billy and Dallas.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that one. Yes. Okay. That works. Awesome. I'm going to go 4.5. I really like that. And I would love to be a kid, like in my mid to late teens, sneaking this movie and watching it, because it would instantly become like my all-time favorite of all, ever, because this is your Goonies, right? For those that were able to watch that when they were young. For me, it was Bad News Bears, but that's a different story. But yeah, really liked it. I really loved it. It was great. The cast was fantastic. What do I pick for my favorite scene? What do I pick? I liked when the shit hit the fan at the party, when you get the lights and everybody's freaking out, and then they just come running into the room and start grabbing people by the head, and everybody's like trying to get away from each other. And it was so kinetically different than the rest, because we were in this big kind of like shocking reveal, or not reveal, real's not the right word, but this character moment with Phoebe's character that was devastating. You're all in the you're in the John Hughes moment of it all, right? It's really just elevated right to that John Hughes moment, and then it burn and everything hits the fan, and it goes an entirely different way. Samantha was the character's name that Phoebe plays. So I thought I liked that, and I thought the aliens were shot in a way that made them very menacing. Even though the designs were fun, but they aren't the most scariest designs you ever seen. But the way they shot them and lit them and had them move made them scary, and that a lot of people can learn from that.
Yeah, also they could just vomit green goo on
Vomit
your face.
green goo, yes, on your face. Oh man. Well, there you go. That is our review of Kids versus Aliens. It's out now on VOD and all that, and then some theaters, as Christopher noted. I think you're going to Alamo Drafthouse to catch it.
Yeah.
So check that out, and also it'll be coming to Shudder. It is a Shudder film. I don't have the details on when it hits Shudder, but look for it then. And let us know what you think about it in the comments down below. All right, Christopher, Dave, Jeff, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
No problem.
Thank you, Doc.
All right, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.